Hi there and welcome back. This is Fia. And today I'm gonna keep going with finishing up my road tiles. Or roads, miniature roads. And I'm just gonna, before I start with the next layer that's gonna be painting, I'm gonna show you the texture, which is pretty cool. In hindsight, I wish I would have put a gray or a brown layer of gesso underneath, but it is what it is. I want to paint over these and texture them up a bit differently, so, or get some other paint on them, but otherwise this would have been really cool just the way it is, as you can see, and all the glue and stuff has dried. So for this step, and I'm gonna need some water. I'm not prepared today. I always have a bottle of water here in my craft room. And I'm gonna need a brush. Okay, so I've gotten two brushes, and these are hog hair brushes, so they're pretty stiff. And these are my like heavy duty brushes. Okay, so I'm gonna use Liquitex brown burnt umber acrylic. This is the acrylic I have. I got some paint here, but this is the acrylic I have that is going a bit off, so I want to first of all use it up. But also this is one of my go-to colors, and I'm gonna add in a little bit of black into this, since I'm gonna be dry brushing this a bit. And that is just heavy body acrylic as well, that I put some water in to make it easier. I got some purple here, and since this is brown, I'm gonna add in the purple too. It won't matter. And I'm thinking I might have added too much black. So I'm just gonna add some water to get it more fluid. And usually your paint won't do this, that my paint is doing. That is because the binder agent in my brown paint has been screwed up by some reason. Being too cold, being too hot, I don't know. It was like this when I bought it. So, and since I added too much black, I'm gonna remove some of it and just add in more brown to get it to the color I want it to be. And it will be a pretty dark brown, more akin to the one that is already on the tile, since I want to dry brush it, as I said, on top to get textures and stuff out. And that's the thing, like this looks cool, but since the, what you call it, the texture I put on it's nice sizes and stuff, but they still look a little bit wrong in my eyes when used in context for 28mm sized miniatures. So that's why I want to paint it, to get it more cohesive and just look more right. I don't know how to describe it really, but it just doesn't look right to me as is now. Okay, so this is a sloppy gooey mess, so I'm just gonna get started. And this will also seal in everything, and I want it not too heavy a coat or too thick a coat, since I still want the texture from the first layers, like the caulking and stuff, to be able to show up, because those I'm gonna dry brush up as well. And this will also get rid of anything that's still loose and stuff on these tiles. And you see I'm using swirling motions as well as back and forth motions. And this is so that I can get into all the little crevices and stuff. And this is also one of the reasons, like I've told you in previous parts of this video series, why I put paint in all the previous steps except the sand and stuff. It's because if I miss something here, it doesn't matter that much. I don't have to be so careful getting every single thing painted. If I would have left like the caulking white and stuff, I would have had to be super thorough doing the painting, which I don't have to be now. And that is actually really, really nice. It saves a lot of time in this step, and it doesn't add a lot of time really to the other steps. So that's why I do it. The paint will also, of course, shrink a bit when it dries and get some of the texture back. But it is a heavy body, which means it will probably be shiny. Which is, I don't know if I'm gonna go for a wet texture or a dry texture or a mix of both. But I might need to spray these with a dull coat before I finish them completely. Okay, so this is it. Now they look pretty shitty again. But it will, I think, look really nice when they're done. So I'm gonna do the rest of the tiles as before. And I'll see you in a bit.
Bye.
Hi, and welcome back. So the base coat I painted on has dried. Let's see if I can show you close up. You see, there's still some variation in the colors. It's not covered everything, but it's covered well enough. And it's dried nice and tight, so I haven't lost any of the textures. So for the next layer, I'm gonna be using a couple of different colors. I've got my piles of poop, they look like at least, that I'm gonna mix up with some different colors. I'm gonna use this is a Vallejo heavy body acrylic in sap green that I'm gonna mix up with one of the colors. And this is to get different color variations when I go in and dry brush this. I'm gonna use some yellow ochre. And I'm gonna use a red crimson. Let's see if I have any here. That is still working. That one is all dried up. Then I'm gonna use primary red. So something like that. And I need to get some water. So I'll be right back. So I got some water. I'm gonna get some paper. Dry my brush off on. So let's see here. And for this layer, I'm gonna use a round hog hair brush. Also a stiff brush. And I'm gonna just moisten it. A trick I've learned is to never use completely dry brushes, since they will it will damage the brushes too much. So I'm gonna mix up these colors to get some nice variations. Scrape them together here on my palette. And then I'm gonna go in and dry brush. And dry brushing, since I mixed with this brush, it's gonna be very full of paint. And I'm gonna do a pretty heavy layer of dry brushing. So I'm gonna go in and just sporadically dry brush up on some of this color. And I'm gonna do this step on all of them, but I'm just going to show you on one for now. So I'm going to mix up another color, the brown and yellow. I think I might need to add some more brown to this. And like I said, this is to get more variation. And the first dry brushing layer I'm putting on now, or the first things I'm gonna paint up now, are the mud, ground, dirt. The last thing I will be doing in the painting stage is to do the stones and stuff. So I go in and overlap the green as well, and just dry brush this on every here and there. And then lastly, I'm gonna go with the red one. So mix that up. See what color we get. And I can show you here, you get some really nice color variations. You got like a clay, like a baby poop, and like a mossy type green color. Get my brush wiped off. And then just go in and dry brush up pretty heavily where I didn't get the rest of the colors. And I'm gonna do this in lighter and lighter layers. So something like that. So I'm gonna do this to all of my road tiles. And then I'll come back for the next step. So I'll see you in a bit.
Bye.
Okay, so I'm done with that first 3-color layer. And this is something of what it looks like. So for the next layer, I've just done this. These are the same colors. And I'm just gonna add white to them to get a lighter shade of the same color. And this dry brush will be a much lighter dry brush. So it will use less paint for one. And as you can see, I don't mix it so it's completely 100% mixed, because I don't need it to be. The color variation just helps with getting a nice blend on these tiles. So I'm just gonna mix together all these colors and get them ready for this step. And I'm gonna use another brush, a smaller brush. This one is a little bit too light, so I need to add some more brown to it. I'm glad I'm using up that tube of paint. Oh, nice sound. It feels bad getting rid of so much paint, but it's really hard to get out of the brush when it's all gooey like that. And just the last one, I had to mix up some more of this color, so I already had some extra done. Hopefully this will be enough. And since I'm dry brushing it, the tiles dry pretty quickly, and I don't mind a bit of blending on them. I'm fine with that. So I'm gonna go in with a smaller brush. Just put my tile up. And I'm just gonna start dabbing off some paint and going over the tiles again, trying to keep a bit in the areas where I put this color, but also overlapping to get more variation. Go for the next color. And when I do this, the rest of the tiles, I'll do one color at a time, just to make it easier for myself. But you see, it's a lighter coat, so it doesn't go in all the crevices and stuff, and you get some more nice variations. And then the final color. Too much paint. And now you have something like that. It's hard to get the real true color on the camera, but it's starting to get somewhere. We're gonna do, I think, another layer, a lighter layer, and then I'm gonna go in with some washes on this. So I'm gonna keep doing this layer till I'm done, and then I'll be back for the next one. So see you in a bit. Okay, so second layer is done and dry, and it's starting to look a little bit interesting. So I've mixed up my paints already. I just added more white to them. So I'm gonna go in once again and go in lighter and lighter, because these white light paints will really pop. But I'm doing them very light since I'm gonna go in with washes when I've done the stones on these. So that's gonna dull them down a bit again. So I want them to be pretty bright, actually, so they will show up nicely. And still have some nice variation to them. And I'm going over the rocks and everything, because that will help when I go to dry brush in the grays that I'm gonna use for the stones and stuff. That will help with variation in the color for those as well. So now we have something that looks like this. So once again, I'm gonna do them all and I'll be back. Okay, so my pieces, it's hard to see in this lighting. I'm filming and it's dark outside, so, but they're starting to look like this. So I've mixed up my grays And this is the green mixed with black. This is the brown yellow mixed with black and a little bit more white. And this is the reddish one mixed with black and more white. So this will also be a 3-step process, but now I'm using a really fine brush. And I'm going from darkest to lightest color. And now I'm going in on my rocks. And here it's nice that you have this variation in the bottom, because first of all, you don't want all your rocks to look exactly the same, even though you're using the same colors. So the underlying paint gives them a variated look. So I'm just making sure I hit all my rocks, piles and stuff, and all this texture I made before. And then I go in with the next color, which is a lighter gray, and just sporadically. This one I don't want the same coverage because it's not a super light gray, and that will be the last step in the painting part, I think at least. You are going on this journey with me together. I've never done this before, so this is me experimenting with you. So finally I'm going in with the lightest gray. That's gonna make the texture pop more. And once again, this is a pretty light gray, since I'm going to go over all of this with washes or a wash. I don't know if I'm gonna bother to go with several different washes. I think dark brown, black, red wash will be pretty okay. And of course I'm gonna do this in more layers so that the paint has more of a chance to dry in between, because now I'm going from one paint to the other straight away, which isn't always the best. But something like this, and you see the variations in colors and stuff. So once again, I'm gonna do this to all of my tiles. See you in a bit. Okay, so I have dry brushed this finished. So now I'm gonna make my wash. Sorry if I shook the camera. And for that, I'm going to use some Liquitex inks, and this is acrylic inks, all the inks I'm using, in carbon black and transparent burnt sienna, it's a black and a bit of a brownish red. And then I'm going to use something called Schöning's Art Ink in sepia. And I'm going to mix it with water, some glazing medium, this is Winsor Newton, and some matte medium to get the shine down on it. So I'm gonna start, if I can get these up, I haven't opened them in a while, by just, and I'm gonna need quite a bit of wash. So something like that, black ink. I hope you can see. See if I can do. And I've got a jar, so maybe a half a tablespoon or something, or half a teaspoon, I mean. The sepia ink is the one I'm going to use the most of. Then I just need to shake up my matte medium, because this matte medium I want to first of all get rid of a bit, because it's a bit strange and it's very, very loose. Something like that. Base medium. Is a bit thicker. And water. And this is just plain tap water. Something like that. Now let's see what color we have. If I need to add some other color, maybe. Looks like really dirty paint water. Maybe add some more medium, because it's really, I want it fluid. But there you can see the color, which I think will be pretty nice. I'm gonna test on one of the smaller pieces and just see what it does. I might have to come in and dry brush up another layer, but I think this will be pretty okay. Yeah. So this has to dry until tomorrow. So I will do all my tiles, let it dry, and come back and show you tomorrow or in a couple of seconds. So bye for now.